Hi, I'm Jim McCann, founder of 1-800-Flowers. We created this podcast to share the wonderful people we get to interact with, we get to meet, we get to know, and most importantly, get to learn from. So I invite you to join us on this journey here on the Celebrations Chatter podcast. So Heather Campbell, you're involved in some really interesting work. We know that you currently live in the Berkshires, but that's not where you come from originally. Where is it?
Well, originally Wisconsin, but I had been living in New York City for almost 30 years before coming up to the Berkshires.
How did you wind up in the Berkshires, a beautiful part of the country?
So lovely. I'd been coming up here. My husband's family has a house up here, and so I'd been coming for visits for many years. But on March 13th, 2020, we came up for the weekend, and it was the longest weekend of my life because we're still here.
My wife's birthday, it was a Friday, and I remember being in the city on the 11th. I've commented on this several times. We had a wonderful breakfast for a bunch of terrific young entrepreneurs, and that's when the world changed that day. So I understand how you wound up there and how you stayed there. And with all the changes that have happened since then, Heather, it's amazing how you can work from almost anywhere, depending on the kind of work that you do. And in the case of what you do, that's very much the situation, and you've been able to take good advantage of that. Tell me about your career up until this most recent endeavor.
Sure. I've actually had, in my opinion, one of kind of the best situations. I've been able to go to places that I've loved and have fun. I worked at ESPN I was in charge of Synergy. I created Synergy. Which was an amazing, wonderful job where basically I got to work with everyone in the Walt Disney Company and understand their priorities and figure out ways that ESPN could promote them and vice versa. So tons of fun to get to play with all of the incredible brands, including.
Now, did you get hired in to do that, or were you there and they gave you that assignment?
It actually was funny. I called someone that I knew to get a drink because I hadn't talked with her for a while. And she said, "Oh my God, what are you doing?" And I said, "Calling you to get a drink." And she said, No, in life, what are you doing? I said, "I just graduated from NYU, from business school. I'm looking for a job." And she said, "Oh my gosh, I have a job and you're perfect for it." And I said, "Great, what is it?" She said, "I don't really know. I'm not really sure what it is." And I said, "Okay, so why am I perfect for it then?" And she said, "Because you're diplomatic and have guts. And I know I need that."
So how long did you do that?
I was there for over 8 years and it was wonderful. And then things changed. Then I actually I shouldn't have said ESPN was the best job. The best job in the world was I was primary caregiver for my 2 children.
Uh-huh.
And that was absolutely incredible. I knew when I left ESPN, one of the things that I really loved was managing people, setting them up to succeed. And I realized I have one of the most incredible jobs for setting people up to succeed ever, being a mom. And things had changed in my family life where that was something we could do. So I did that for many years as well.
That's an interesting topic of discussion. One active in around the shop here at Flowers, at Worth, and in my family as recently as yesterday, we had a family gathering. The whole idea of women having to look at their careers, and I say it's mostly women, I would think, but not just, and say, is my time best spent at this point in my life, at this point in our family's development, at this point in the age of our children. So how old were your kids when you decided that you'd like to be a primary caregiver and stay at home?
They were very young. So I had my first, actually, when I was at ESPN, and my plan had been to go back. That was my plan. My job changed right then. So I was no longer in charge of Synergy. I was in charge of advertising for a number of the brands at ESPN. And while a phenomenal, amazing job, wasn't the job that I really wanted. So my plan actually had been to take the summer to think about what I wanted to go to next. And while I was taking that summer, I realized what I wanted next was to be at home with my then one daughter, and then 2 years later, my second.
And how long did you stay at home with them?
So I was at home for many, many years. It was interesting, though, again, thinking about the trade-offs with things. Uh, I was primary caregiver. I was a full-time at-home mom, but I also was on the community board in New York City, on the liquor licensing committee, then on the school and education committee. I ran the parent action committee at the school. I was involved in a lot of things. So I was not that you have like being a stay at home mom is plenty, but I knew for myself, I really like community engagement. So I found things that I could be responsible for and have that other side to me.
And how are the girls doing now? How old are they?
They are soon to be 18 and 15. My oldest will be going to college. We know that. We are not sure where exactly they will be going. They've got a couple of different options. So we will see where that takes them. Right now, Santa Cruz and Oregon are the exciting ones.
Oh,
Uh,
really? Far
yes,
away, both.
far away, which I fly be free.
Yep. And you went to school at a great place at Madison, Wisconsin.
Yes, yes. One of the best schools in the world.
Yeah. And then you went to graduate school at NYU, which is a nice topper on that educationally.
Yes, I really enjoyed. And actually, it's funny. I was just in New York last week and met with the dean of the business school and with three former professors. I go back and I speak every year. I'm one of the lecturers in a class that I took every year, which I really enjoy, an M&A class, which was a lot of fun.
Oh, great. That's nice that you stay connected like that. It's good for the students to get to know you and interact with you and get use you as a role model, and good for you too to get plugged into all the young thinking and the different ways of thinking. It's a it's a good two-way street. So along the pathway here, you've had this great career. You had this wonderful opportunity to stay home with your girls, but along the way, you had to confront a health issue. You had to have some surgery.
Yes, yes. I had gone in for pain with two fingers, and the surgeon said, I have good news and great news. Good news is your fingers are fine. They're just hurt. But the great news is you have something really wrong with another finger. And normally it would be bad. But because you're here, we can fix it with surgery. And I said, so that's great.
Tell us about that experience, Heather, in that you weren't properly prepared for the surgery, and things didn't go as well as they should have or could have, and that gave rise to the idea that you've had that's become a calling for you. But tell us about your own experience with surgery.
Actually, it was interesting. It did go well, but it went well because of me. So I had a great surgeon, really wonderful, but I was incredibly nervous. I was not comfortable with the idea of this happening. Well, when I tell the story about it, I say the story the same way every time. Good news, great news. It also was a bone-eating lesion that had eaten a third of my finger and could have been cancer. So I wasn't happy. I was uncomfortable. I was very stressed. And so I went to look for what can I do? I don't want to feel this way. So I
And feel
Googled
this way was the reaction to the high level of anxiety you had going into this with all the unknowns.
exactly, exactly. Correct. All the unknowns. We fill silence with negativity. That is what is our human condition to do most often. So I tried to find a program to help me because while my surgeon was great, he had already said like we're going to have surgery. That's it. We're done. So Googled and it said, PT. And I'm like, no, I don't need PT. I haven't had the surgery. I haven't had surgery yet, and I'm nervous. What can I do? Medication. I'm like, no, I don't want medication. So I thought about I've done wellness programs in the past. And I thought, okay, so what can I borrow from those programs? Okay, what's going to happen with this that is going to be different? How can I actually take action? What can I do in this moment? And afterwards, it actually was great. I had no PT, no pain meds. I was the model amazing patient. And my surgeon said to me, I really wish all of my patients could be like you. And I thought
Maybe they can.
I could start a company. They could. And then I found out There are 51 million inpatient surgeries in the United
Get
States
out.
every year, according to
51
this.
million.
51 million.
Wow.
And even with the, like, my surgeon was awesome. He was a good guy. He was positive. He tried to do what he could do, but on average, a doctor is talking with the patient for 13 to 16 minutes.
That would tell me somewhere one in every 6.5 people has a surgery each year.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. It's nuts.
Huh.
So I knew that this was not only something that was positive for me, it could be positive for so many people.
So you take your education, your experience, and you decide you're going to do what?
Well, so actually, first I created what I call now the Crayon version, the Crayon MVP.
Uh-huh.
It was a push email that I created, and I sent it to people who bought the program. And
Oh, back up. What program?
oh, so yes, so I should back up to that. So first I went to, I looked at what I had done, and I had a wellness partner that I had worked with on other things. And I went to her and I said, "So, what do you think? You know, how would we do this? What would it look like? What would it need to include?" It was actually very interesting. On the If you're looking at kind of Western medicine and Eastern, she was very far east.
Uh-huh.
And we talked about, is this something that questions surgery? Is it something that says, you know, maybe you don't need to have surgery? And we decided, no, that's not what this is. This is about, you've made a decision, you've got a great medical team. How do you now play a good role? How do you participate? So we looked at,
Because we all feel, you mentioned it before, the unknown, the void of the unknown is filled by anxiety and negativity. And everything that we know about makes us more comfortable. Whether it's the instructions when you get on an airplane is what's going to happen, the captain coming on and telling you we're going to hit some light chop for about 15, 20 minutes, and then it's clear sailing after that. Knowledge gives us comfort. Able
yes,
to define our circumstances. And a big part of what you do in your program, which is called Surgery Success, is to arm people with that knowledge, that information, and let them know how they're going to feel so they can anticipate it and manage it.
it is really about looking at, again, we call it the human side to surgery, at Ready, Set, Recover. So it's about that human side, and it follows a process. You know, there's the first action step. There are 24 days within the program, and the first action step is all about being your own advocate.
24 days, how does that break out pre and post?
16 days before, 8 days day of, and after.
Uh-huh.
If you find us and you're already closer to the surgery date, we can accelerate that to 8 days before. But ideally, you're setting yourself up. You know, surgery is the definition of trauma. You
Mm-hmm.
know, that is trauma to the body.
No question.
Getting yourself ready, getting your home ready, getting your friends ready, getting your support ready.
Getting your recovery ready.
Exactly. You know, I often say surgery is going to, you know, you surgery is going to take time and energy. You decide how much you're going to give to it. If you don't give it enough, it will take more.
People go to online, they Google Ready, Set, Recover. They click on, they see the information about it, and oh, geez, I'm old, so I have a lot of friends recently. Couple have gotten knees done, couple have gotten hips replaced. Uh, one friend had his knee done and walked out of the hospital that day and played 18 holes of golf within a month. Amazing. Another friend had his knee replaced, and a month later he was still miserable, still couldn't sleep. So there's all different kinds of experiences and outcomes. Why I go and find you online at readysetrecover.com, and I find a program. How much does it cost me?
It's $149.
Uh-huh. And it's self-paced. I can do it myself from home online.
Correct.
And
Correct.
what will it do for me and with me?
So it really helps you look at things, the decisions that are within your control. So surgery is, like we've been talking about, it's a time when it feels like everything is out of your control. Your surgeon's going to be doing this to you. This happened to your body. You actually have control over a number of things. So one of the action steps within it is talking about the story of your surgery. So I told you the story of my surgery. Good news, great news, good news, great news. That's how I told the story of my surgery forever when I would talk about it before I had it.
How long ago was it for you?
This was many, many years ago.
Okay.
But I also told you the other side of the story that I could have been saying. So when I said to you earlier, it was a bone-eating lesion, it has eaten a third of my finger and it could be cancer. The look on your face to that is actually scary to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm very conscious of the story of my surgery for two reasons. Number one, I hear it over and over again. Do I want to create cortisol in my body or dopamine? Do I want that fight or flight, or do I want that, oh, this is going to be good? I want dopamine. Number two, it elicits a response. So I told you the first one, you smiled. I told you the second one, and you went, I don't want you giving me the I don't want you telling me about someone else who had cancer. And so it is things like that. It are things that are within your control. Talking with your doctor and advocating for yourself. Movement, meditation, tracking your sleep. Actually, it's interesting. We had someone go through the program, and they were kind enough to give us feedback afterwards. I was soliciting feedback, and she said, "I'm a nurse." And I thought, oh my God, you're a nurse. This makes me uncomfortable. You're a medical professional. And I said, okay, so how'd I do? She said, perfect. All of the right elements, the right language, not jargon, easy to understand, simple to do, beautiful. And I said, okay, do you want your money back? Did I waste your time? You knew everything in the program. And she said, right. I knew everything, but I wouldn't have done any of it without your program, without you making me track how much I sleep. I've always known I didn't sleep enough, but until you had me track it, I'm sleeping 4 hours a night. That is not going to get me better from surgery. So it's looking at elements like that.
A lot of people have taken this program now. How long has it been available?
So the Crayon version was available for a while. We've just actually launched the online version. So online, it's available. You can do it from your phone. You can do it from your tablet, from your computer, anywhere with internet access. And we've really taken efforts to make it easy, to make it fun, to make it joyous. Because again, during this time of surgery, you don't need something else that's kind of wagging its finger and saying, you should, you could. It's all about positivity and inspiration.
And so is it selling well?
It is doing well. It is doing well. The goal ultimately, while I always want it to be available to anyone who needs it, I want to be working with doctors. I want it to be, when I think about the systems, when I think about the way people get into this, surgery starts the minute you hear the words you need surgery. That's when surgery starts. That's when your body is reacting to this. This is when you start planning. So
So you want the surgeons who are doing those 51 million procedures each year referring people to your site so that
I
they
do.
go through this program so that their surgical experience is as positive and as beneficial as it can be.
Absolutely. And within that, the beauty of this also is surgery's got a lot of different players around it. So there's the patient, number one, absolutely. There's their loved ones, their employer, their surgeon, their hospital, their insurance company. When you have a happier, more engaged, more positive patient, it benefits all of
Hmm.
those entities.
So even here, the stakeholders.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. For employers, your employees who are having surgery, I really believe employers would want to do this for two reasons. Want their people to do this for two reasons. Number one, they're human. Their employers are human beings. You want the best for your employees. Number two, it's good business. You don't want your employees to be sitting around 2 weeks before work worrying, thinking, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, and then possibly having complications and readmits, longer length of stays. You want to give a tool to have them be happier and healthier as they're going through this process.
We put our heart into everything we do. We are farmers, bakers, florists, and makers who grow and create with a passion. Made with love at every step of the way. Because at the end of the day, we know you're sending more than a gift. 1-800-Flowers, share with love.
Let's focus for a minute on moms. I think you're an amazing mom, and we have a program here at Flowers that we shine a light on amazing moms. So get ready for that light. But tell us anecdotally about moms that have maybe a 12-year-old daughter who has to have some kind of procedure. Tell me anecdotally about a mom that's used your program and as she's communicated with you how beneficial it was or wasn't.
I will start with using myself because, again, when I needed this and when I created it, one of the things I realized was I was having this finger surgery, but my hand was going to be like this for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And that was going to be really difficult to cook and open a jar. And so
To do anything.
I said, to do anything. So I sent an email out to my group of moms and said, hi, I'm having surgery. I know you love me. I know you'd want to know. So number one, I'm telling you. Number two, you really care about me. So I am guessing you would say, is there anything you can do? And there actually is. For a week, it would be really wonderful if someone could pick up my kids from school and give them dinner. That would be so helpful and so amazing. Within 2 days, I had 2 weeks worth of people who wanted to help me. Again, thinking about how the program evolved, that's rallying your surgery supporters. That's one of the elements that we do in the program. Number one, validating it's okay to ask for help, and then curating actually the doing of the asking for help.
So did you set up a spreadsheet then?
It's within the program. So within the program, we set up, here are the types of things you might want to ask people to do. Here's how, and then you actually give us the email addresses of your surgery supporters, and we rally them both in things like that on actual action steps and also just communication, facilitating sometimes you need a kind word. How can we help motivate that to happen?
I just told a story here last week. It was several years ago. We had moved from in-person service centers around the country to allowing people to work from home. And I was concerned about, would the culture develop? You know, if you're not in person, you're not standing at a coffee machine together chatting in the morning before you get going, or just bumping into one another going down the hall. And how will culture form in this environment? And the lady who ran the customer service program told me, let me tell you a story. And the story was that we had a rep I believe it was in Denver, and a rep in British Columbia, Canada. And they were on the same team, 2 women, and they got to know one another. And she said, I'll tell you how relationships form, Jim. She said the lady who lived in Denver was new to Denver, so she didn't have a support network there. But she had 2 young children, and she was the sole parent and caretaker around. And lo and behold, she tells her friend from British Columbia, who she's never met, but they have a nice dialogue and rapport, working on the same virtual team. She told me, I have to have surgery, but I can't figure out how to do this. So I don't have anyone here, and I have the kids and school and responsibility. So I've been putting it off for weeks and weeks now, trying to figure out how to do this. The lady from British Columbia said to her, make your appointment for a week from Monday for your surgery. I'm coming to you on Saturday. She put in for a week's vacation. She took that week's vacation. She went down, never met these kids before, and used Saturday and Sunday to get to know them. Drove her to the hospital on Monday morning after she got the kids out to school. She was two and a half days in the hospital. Then she came home and had another 4 days of recovery with this friend around that helped to get through the whole thing. But they had planned it all out, meals, appointments, schools. So I was very pleased to hear that relationships and friendships still form even in a virtual environment. But it sounds to me like they would have benefited from your program.
When you mentioned Denver, it did make me think of another mom story. So I had another mom who went through the program and afterwards, again, asked for feedback. And the mom's feedback actually was, so, I have a loving family. My husband's great. My kids are great. They were all done with my surgery the day I came home, and surgery was over. Like, it's done. Mom had it. It's done. They've moved on. Ready, Set, Recover was still there for me because I wasn't done. I actually still needed the attention. I needed the support of, oh yeah, you get to focus on you still. So yes, so I've heard things like that from moms as well. And I love that you are shining the light on moms, because while everyone does many great things, is able to do many great things, I really do think moms show up.
Well, I think your program is likely to already be highly sought after by moms, because moms are also the COO, CEO, oftentimes of the household, and they're doing it on behalf of themselves or on behalf of a child, a spouse, a grandchild, a friend, a cousin. So they're the ones who are making those decisions. And I would imagine you've had some people who are super users who've purchased this program or recommended the program for a lot of people in their network.
Yes, yes, absolutely. Again, it is similar to what you do, brings so much beauty and so much joy to so many people. Um, it has been humbling, truly, to hear from people that this has changed their lives. Uh, to hear from someone that, I've had surgery before. I thought I knew what to expect. I was ready for it, and I did someone bought me your program as a gift, so I did the program. This is completely different. This is a completely different way of experiencing surgery.
Scientifically, what impact does stress have on the healing process?
Yeah. So the figure that floored me was that stress can extend the time it takes wounds to heal by 40%. Just psychological stress, 40%. It has been associated with depression, longer hospital stays, complications, readmissions. We focus so much on the medical, which is necessary. Like every once in a while, someone will talk about their doctor not caring enough or their doctor not. And my take on that is, so if I were to tell you that I've got a bone-eating lesion, it is weird to say, here, let me cut that open. I'm going to cut it open. I'm going to take that out. I'm going to put the crushed up bones of a cadaver and then sew you up. That is weird. So I'm okay with the medical team being laser focused and saying, I'm going to focus on that medical side like nobody's business. But for the rest of us, we know about the mind body connection. We know about logistics. We all of these things will 100% affect outcomes. We haven't been focused on them enough yet. I am, again, grateful that I can be doing that.
You told me in the past that 92% of all patients have preoperative fear.
Yes.
I want to know who the 8% are.
I know. Who are those strange people?
All right, you're going to cut me, you're going to knock me out, you're going to cut me open. Not worried.
Sounds good. Yes, 92%. Like it's palpable. We know it. It's actually funny, though, thinking about it in the reverse. My daughter is fine, absolutely fine, but needed to have surgery. So we're in the pre-op and people are running around and milling about us and doing lots of stuff. And one of the nurses kind of pulls me aside and says, I just have to say, you've really been amazing. And I said, thank you. And she said, no, like really amazing during this. And your daughter has too. And I said, thank you. We actually I have a company that helps people get ready for and recover from surgery in a better way. And first of all, the funny thing was my daughter overheard this and looked and said, did you ready, set, recover me? And I said, yeah.
Indeed, I did.
She's like, you did. She's like, and I said, yes, of course I ready, set, recovered you. And then the little entrepreneur says, do you think I should be paid for the first child to go through the program as a focus group? But the beauty of the story also was, again, thinking about the multiple groups that this affects. You could see that our being calm, doing breath work, having a positive mantra that we were repeating you could see that lifted a weight off the nurses' shoulders as they were doing their work. It all comes together to benefit.
Does the program cover diet?
So we go into diet a little bit, again, because it is not medical in nature. I'm careful to know my lanes. I talk about healthy eating. I talk about working with your doctor. I talk about should and could you go to a nutritionist. but I am careful.
Because anxiety will have polar effects on people. It causes some people to overeat and causes some people not to eat.
Correct. Correct. So we talk about some very big basics, and we also talk about, again, working with your doctor. One of the things that, as I was building this, I was adamant about was we need to be a good partner to the medical team. We are not a competitor. We are not. We have nothing that negates what they are doing. We are a good partner.
So tell us a year from now, Heather, when we check in again to see how your company's doing, predict for us how Ready, Set, Recover is doing a year from now. What new innovations will you be hoping to implement?
So much, so much. So first of all, my goal is really to be a part of this revolution that needs to happen from going from hurt care, which is what we have. We have hurt care right now. I want health care for people. So I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of the conversation and a part of the actions where people are really looking at preventative and supportive care within a medical system. Ultimately, I want to be top of funnel. So I want, when your insurance company says, yes, this surgery is approved, I want them to be the ones saying, and you are going to play a part in this. You're an amazing human being, and we're going to cover it. That is my goal.
And they're making a referral to Ready, Set, Recover.
Correct. I want, when I think about, again, how this helps everyone in the system, this is something that should ultimately be paid for by insurance. Until we get there, though, I throw out an offer to people. When you think about taking care of yourself and what you do, I understand most often we want to keep it within what's paid for by insurance. I get that. I totally want my stuff covered as well. However, you go for a oil change every year, right? And you rotate your tires and you put on new wiper blades, and none of that is covered by insurance. Why are we taking better care of our cars than we are of ourselves? We need to be, again, all of us working together for our own health.
And one of the things I noted in your material, Heather, is that by the year 2030, so just 6 years from now, there'll be 73 million people, average age of 69. That's a lot of folks. And the byproduct of that is we're all playing pickleball. So we're all having injuries that sometimes require some surgery. So we better get familiar with Ready, Set, Recover.
Yes, I hope so. I mean, it is weird. Well, it's funny. It's weird owning a company you wish no one needed. Like, I wish that wasn't the case. But the reality is, like you've said, they're calling it the silver tsunami.
Yes.
And healthcare workers are stretched. Their time is not going to become more for hand-holding. So we are here to jump in and play that role.
And where the surgeries are taking place increasingly is not in a hospital. They're happening in surgical centers. It's amazing how serious a surgery they'll do in a non-hospital setting.
Which is also a challenging mental problem, because very often if you're telling me I'm going to be in and out in a day, we've got such constructs of bias. So you're telling me I'm going to be in and out in a day, must not be a big deal. I probably don't need to paying attention to it. The amount of people that we hear from, and this again, in terms of ways we can be growing, most often I hear from people saying, I'm 2 weeks out and this is not getting better and I'm a mess. I wish I found you earlier.
I'm on this topic of amazings, and I bet you can tell us nurses are extremely important to this whole process.
Yes.
Even before Ready, Set, Recover. The professionalism, the caring of a nurse can make a world of difference to a surgical patient and his or her family and loved ones around them. It just can have such an impact. Are you doing anything? Are you reaching out to these amazing people who are nurses to counsel them in terms of reminding them the difference they can make?
We number one, thank them constantly. Again, to the nurses in that room, I brought cookies afterwards. I mean, we thank them. As a person, I do that, and as a company. We also ask for their opinions. I want them as advocates. I want their responses. I was just actually at a conference in Los Angeles, the Vive conference, and met with a number of nurses to talk about the needs and opportunities and how can I be a partner with them. Because again, when you've got positive, compliant patients, it makes all of it easier. So they recognize the symbiotic nature of what we're doing.
I love your story, Heather. I love that you took the time to spend time at home with your children. I think that's when we can do that, that's so important and wonderful to do. I love that you've taken your own personal experience and putting your entrepreneurial DNA on display, said, hey, why can't I make a business out of this, helping other people? And you've done that. I love that your children now realize that they were guinea pigs in this pathway, and that you have such exciting ideas and plans for the future. And all of this is under the heading, isn't it neat when you can do well by doing good? So Heather Campbell, congratulations. ReadySetRecover.com, a place anyone who's facing surgery or knows someone who is should visit your site and take a look at your program. I can't imagine that there's anyone that it wouldn't benefit. And it's only $149, so come on, get over yourself. And thank you, Heather, for doing this work and sharing your story with us. I think you're an amazing mom, and I'm happy to point that out to so many people because we have so many amazing moms in our world, and we can never be done shining a light on the good things they do for us, their families, and our society. Thanks, Heather Campbell.
Thanks. So great to talk with you as always, Jim. Really appreciate it.
Be well.
Thanks.
It's my sister's birthday.
Go to 1-800-Flowers.com.
They have tons of great birthday gifts.
Wow.
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 Happy birthday, baby.
Wow.
Yummy. I got to contain myself.
1-800-Flowers.
Celebrate the people you love.
Well, I hope you enjoyed what you heard, and I know I'll be sharing it forward. I hope you get to as well. Let's keep the conversation going. Follow me along on Twitter at Jim1800Flowers and on LinkedIn at Jim McCann. Hope to talk to you soon.